Hello there. So today I am trying something new. Um, I'm going live in a whole bunch of places because I had some things that I wanted to kind of talk through and process. Um, because I have a lot of ideas in my mind and I'm trying to process these ideas by myself. And I'm stuck because I need input. So I decided that I would come on here and try to see if I can think through this in real time and get some input from you all about some of these projects that I'm working on. And also because I've been getting a lot of what do you call them? DMs, messages, texts, questions about how to leave the US are probably the questions that I get the most. And I answer when you all DM me, I answer you, but I think that it would be a lot easier to ask those questions in this type of format where one is able to be recorded and then also I'm a teacher, right? So as a teacher we know that students can benefit, people can benefit from other people's questions. So I wanted to take some time to create space to answer questions that hopefully will help more people, but then also talk about some of the things that I'm thinking through about how I can help people, and how I can do what I know that I'm supposed to do, that I've kind of been figuring out what that looks like. So, having said that, hey, I'm Kimberlyn. I'm Kim. For anybody, hey, Soror, who doesn't know me, or this video might make it to you. I do a lot of things, but one of the things that I am trying to get very serious about is this content creation journey. I have been working in content creation probably since about 2016, 2017, but it's always been for somebody else. Primarily, I worked with a platform called Beautiful Brown Girls, and on Beautiful Brown Girls, I had two talk shows on that platform, and I did that for 6 years. And in that time, I made a lot of connections, gained a lot of knowledge, all of that. I also, at some point, decided to become a life coach, and that is additional content that I have created, that I've talked about, and I've kind of showed up in those ways. So, that's some of the things that I do. I also, though, don't live in the US anymore. I left the US in October of 2021. It was because of living in a toxic work environment. Working in a toxic work environment. And when I say toxic, I mean racist and hostile and any negative word that you could put on it, dysfunctional, all of that, all of that was happening while I was in the US, and that pushed me to make the decision to leave the US. So a lot of the questions that I get from people are often like, how did you leave the US? Like, what does that look like? Where should I go? Give me some recommendations, like all of that. And yes, I can do that, but it always comes back to the question of why do you want to leave? And then also, what type of like environmental factors do you want to have around you, right? So for instance, I'm a person, I don't like the beach. I don't like the beach. I have never liked the beach even as a child. I didn't know at the time that it was a texture thing, but now I realize I don't like sand. It gets everywhere in everything and I don't want no parts of it. So for me, moving somewhere that had a beach was not of high importance for me. I lived in Tampa for 17 years. I think I probably went to the beach 5 times, maybe. And that was because somebody else was having something. I had a photo shoot, or I went jet skiing. Like, but it was like I don't do the beach. So that's something for me that a place where I live like Medellin is perfect because it's not beach centered. Whereas you might be somebody who's like, girls, roll me in the sand. Okay. So anyway, so those are some of the things that people have to think about when they're thinking about where they want to live. Not just if you want to leave the country, but if you want to live anywhere. Like, what are the environmental factors that you have around you? So what I'm wondering is what would be the best modality, if you will, to like deliver that type of support. Is that better in a Q&A format? Is that better in a Zoom? Is that better in a ebook? What are the ways that you learn? And what are the ways that you find information beneficial that it can be packaged that way is one of the things that I'm wondering about. So when we're talking about something that you might have a lot of questions about and a lot of discussion and all of that, would you prefer to do that through the chat, or is that something like you would like to have a one-on-one conversation about type of thing? So that's one of the things that y'all be in my inbox about. um, so let me use my little tools here and write this on the screen, because what I'm wondering is, which way do you learn? Well, that's not the real question. The question is, would you rather have a Q&A in a Zoom session or as a webinar like this? All right, so that's the first question. So I'm gonna put that at the bottom. So if y'all can tell me that in the comments, if you're watching, that would be helpful. If you're watching this afterwards, if you can just put it in the comments, and that would be helpful to me. So with Q&As, when we're talking about things like leaving the country or just Q&As, period, what would be the better thing? Because, for instance, the other thing that people be in my inbox about is life coaching. And um I turned down a job today, and I'm processing that. But also like accepting the piece of the fact that it wasn't in alignment. But it really made me think about how I was willing to give the time. And to put it in context, they were asking me to, it was a like teaching position, and they were asking me to teach people English, but the pay was only like $6 an hour. And I know you might be like, oh my God, but also remember, I live in Colombia, and the pay difference is very different here in Colombia as opposed to in the US. And also, though, however, such, and I can't work for $6 an hour. I cannot do that. I understood. They were like, "We're gonna do this, and we could give you this." But I cannot do that. So, having said that, I was asking myself, like, why were you willing to work for someone else? I didn't know it was $6 an hour at the time, but why was I willing to work for somebody else as opposed to getting on, asking you all these questions that I need to know the answers to be able to do what I really want to do? Because I was talking to my best friend earlier today, and I was telling her about this decision. I was like, yeah, I got two job offers, and I don't know how I feel about it, blah 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 blah. And she was like, well, let's how you feel about it. And I'm good for pulling out a feelings wheel. So she was like, how do you feel about it? I was like, you know what, I know what I don't feel about it is happy. I don't feel happy about it. I don't feel joyful about it. I don't feel peaceful about it. I don't like, nothing about it makes me feel any positive feelings. I really just am like, it looks like there's something that I'm gonna have to do. So here we go. And I had to ask myself, like, why was I willing to do that instead of actually putting the energy towards what I want to do, which is figure out this stuff. So that is what led me to even come on here and be like, well, maybe some people got some time right now for me to ask. Because this is the other thing. This the other thing that would be really helpful for me, because a lot of times I try to keep the things, the any information that I put out or any type of content that I'm creating, I usually try to keep it in the evening. So like my podcasts are usually in the evening, talk shows were in the evening, all of that. But I very much, as somebody who works from home and I'm somebody who follows Kev on Stage, and I'm in his Patreon and all of that. I love that they do content during the day because it's something that makes the day go faster. So I'll be watching and working like all at the same time. And people are always in the comments and they're like, man, all right, let me close this door because we finna kick back like and have a good time. So it made me like ask myself, why am I like in this box of making content at this particular time? Why am I not doing it during other times where people might be at work and they're like, I actually have time to listen to something right now? So my next question is, when do you listen to your podcast? And when I say when, I guess I should say what time of day, um, because I'm wondering what would be the best time of day to do live things where, yes, you can listen, but you can also watch. So I'm wondering what would be the best time of day. So when do you listen to your podcast? What time of day? Again, if y'all could tell me that in the comments, that would be helpful. And let me put that on the screen for anybody who didn't hear me. So when do you listen to your podcast? What time of day is another question that would be helpful for me to know the answer to, because I'm really starting to lean towards content like daytime content as opposed to it being in the evening, just because I feel like in the evening people a lot of times have responsibilities, right? So once you get home from work, now you got to like be a parent and like do things or like feed yourself and like, be an adult or crash out, after you got home. All right, so mornings between 10 and 12. Okay, all right, all right, that's good. So if y'all can keep telling me, what time do you usually listen to podcasts? Like what time of day? Because I'm thinking about doing like, I don't know, like a series or something, but just something to start having some of these conversations and breaking down some of these questions that I get all the time that require a little bit more than me just giving you a quick message back. A lot of times that's what takes me so long. That's not all of what takes me so long. I'm also trying to get my life together. But a lot of times what takes me so long to respond is the answers don't be simple answers. Like it's like if somebody asked me, why did you leave the US? Right? What made you leave the US? I right now have a 7-part series on YouTube about why I left the US. That's not an easy answer, right? So I might say something like, usually my response is something like, oh, the US makes me really weary. It's just the US makes me weary. Then naturally, what's going to be the next question? Well, why? What happened? Or if I say something like the US is really racist, and then they're gonna be like, oh God, now we have a conversation about that. Or if I say I don't like the US, like anything I say, there's gonna need to be some type of conversation about that. So those are like, I get questions that you may be thinking like are very simple questions with simple answers, but a lot of times they are a bit more complex. So what I am thinking about doing is starting to answer some of those questions and like break those questions down, and that would be something that I would do like on a podcast or a live during the day. So that would be helpful if you can, again, let me know that information. If you're watching live now in the comments and or later, you can let me know in the comments as well. All right. All right. So those were two questions that I wanted to get out of the way. Now, this is the other thing that I wanted to say because this is also something that kind of makes me pause on, I don't know about pause, but I have to be very intentional about how I return to spaces of high visibility. And this is why. Um, if you are someone who is primarily, and I'm not, this is not a hierarchical type of comparison that I'm about to do. This is just factual. This is very like factual. If you're someone who consumes your primary method of interacting with content, videos, Instagram, TikToks, social media platforms, or what have you, is to consume content. Um, there is a certain there's something that you're looking for in particular, and there's a certain way that you show up on the internet. So I'll use my cousin as an example. So my cousin, she's on my podcast, our podcast, because I begged her and begged her and begged her for years. Please, please, please be on a podcast with me. So now we have our podcast. So you don't put syrup on grilled cheese. Um, and yes, we do. That is what I said. And yes, we do. And also, but she's not a social media like content creator. She's not posting things. She's not like creating videos and putting captions and like all that kind of stuff. She's not doing any of that. She don't want to do it, and that's fine, right? But there's a certain level of privacy, if you will, that you maintain being primarily a consumer of content as opposed to a creator of content. So having been somebody, and I still kind of struggle with like that identity of being like I'm a content creator, and I don't really know why. I think it's like people will bastardize certain words and terms. So, for instance, I used to call myself an influencer before influencers were a thing, and it was because I know I'm influential. But now that word has a certain look and a certain feel to it that I really just don't like. But I'm wrapping my mind around the fact and accepting the fact I am a content creator. Yes, I am somebody who creates things for others to consume, right? At the most simplest form of it. So in that process, there is a level of higher visibility that comes with what I do. And being a content creator than it does for someone who is primarily a consumer. And what I consistently, especially after experiencing a mental health crisis and all of that, what I'm consistently kind of like kicking around in my mind is what I want my life to look like and how do I want to do this return and what does it look like to establish appropriate boundaries to make sure that I'm not overexerting myself and I'm not giving people access to me that shouldn't have access to me and all of that. So in that process, it really had me thinking about boundaries and reevaluating my circles and just really thinking about where where I am and respecting where I am, but also honoring what I see as opposed to what I want to see. Because a lot of times I can, and I do, I see the best in people and I want the best for people and I'm striving for people to have the best. But also at the same time, people are not always ready to be present as that person. So sometimes I have dragged people along with me instead of honoring where they are in their life. And that's not a good or bad, that's not a up or down, that's not a judgment, it's just a factual statement of do they align, with my life right now or do they not? So, I've been in this place of doing these audits, of my community, of my circle, of everything, honestly. I just did a clothes audit the other day. But stuff like that, for instance, of describing that, I'm wondering that would look like. Is Does that need to be two-way conversation, or is that conversation one-way conversation? You all would benefit from just hearing my thoughts, right? So I'm also wondering about that. Um, would you benefit from just hearing my thoughts and hearing me think it out? But then also back to the high visibility, because it's weird. It's weird. Um, I've never really viewed my life from the outside looking in because I live in my life, right? So I've never really consumed my life. I live in my life, right? So I've never really consumed my life. But lately I've been going back and I've been looking at some old videos because I've been uploading things to YouTube. And as I'm watching the videos or listening to the videos, oftentimes I am listening as a consumer. Like I'm listening to myself as if I'm somebody who's listening to a podcast as opposed to listening to myself as myself. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But I've been doing that more of listening to myself and listening to certain videos that I made or certain content that I made or whatever. And it's making me view my life and my words and my mission very differently because there's a lot there that can help people. Like, and I know that, like, in my life, I feel like I document these things because I don't have any kids, and I'd be like, somebody gonna have to tell a story one day about this woman named Kimberlyn that did these things, which is kind of why I started documenting things, but it wasn't necessarily for other people to consume it per se. It was just kind of like I should probably keep track of some of this. Or I might feel led to give a message or whatever and be like, hey, y'all, this is what's going on in the streets. And I feel like I got something to say. But it's been very interesting to consume my life as the person who has lived my life because I've been through a lot. I have been through a lot. And I have not necessarily thought about the things that I've been through from a standpoint of watching what I've been through. I've thought about what I've been through as far as how did it shape me into the person I am today, or how can I help somebody else not experience this? But like actually watching myself as somebody else would be watching me through a process, I've never really done that, but I started doing that. And what it made me do is want to start doing my school improvement series again because I had only done 7 episodes about what happened when I was in Pennsylvania. And I was so detailed because I now know this is the autism, but people be lying. People really be lying. And it be like, excuse me, I have the emails. Like, what are you talking about? So that's why I've been so detailed with it, right? But um I've only told a part of the story. Like I stopped at February of 2021. And that's when stuff had just got started. So I haven't even talked about everything that happened after that point, and how many meetings they drug me into and like all that kind of stuff. So anyway, as I was watching, I was thinking to myself, I really need to go ahead and release the season two, I guess we'll call it, right? So I was like, I really need to go ahead and release season two because there's so much more that happened in that story. And I just feel compelled to have it documented because I don't know where it's going and who's going to see it, but I do feel compelled to have it documented. So that started making me think about why am I not being serious about YouTube? And I think it's because I've been going back and forth with this complex of what a YouTuber looks like or what somebody who creates content looks like. And a lot of times it doesn't feel authentic to me. It can feel very polished and um put together and like toxic positivity and presenting, the best side of things. And I get that there's a place for all of that. I really do believe that, right? Because those are places that I might escape to when I need to. But I feel like what I want to talk about are the things that I want to share with people or the ways that I want to help people. For some reason, I haven't been putting respect on it. And I don't know why. I really don't. Like I really do. I'm unpacking why I haven't really put respect on it, on my name, on the things. But I kind of had a pep talk with myself today. And I was actually watching one of my favorite podcasts, which is Gin and Juice podcast, and it's Kevin Stage's wife, Melissa Fredericks, and her sister, Mel Gooseby, who is also I'm Not a Lawyer, but which is another one of my favorite pages. So anyway, they have their podcast today, and they were talking. They're content creators, right? So they were talking about what this process is like. And Mel, I'm not a lawyer, but was sharing that she had reached 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. And she was like, I think it's been a little over a year since she really got serious about the YouTube page. And I was like, wow, that is so dope. What has stopped me from getting serious about this YouTube page? And I don't really know, but also I'm sick. I be getting on my own nerves, and I'm on my nerves right now because I'm like, why am I not being serious about this? So, having said that, then I said to myself, I haven't really asked people to support the YouTube page per se, right? It's been in certain platforms or whatever, but not like consistently. I don't talk about it all the time because I be feeling like this my other thing. I be feeling like I'm getting on people's nerves, and I don't because in my life people have always said I think I'm too much, I'm doing too much, like all of this. So I have been trained to just be low key and not, make too many waves and all of that because people gonna feel some type of way if you show up as yourself, right? And that's kind of been how my life has been. And I'm noticing places where that manifests. And one of those places that it has manifest is in this journey of YouTube and thinking about what that looks like and asking people for support and letting people know what I'm doing because I just be like, I don't feel like hearing it. And also, though, I know that there are people who are wondering what I'm doing and they are wanting to be involved and they're wanting to support and they're wanting to have the conversations and talk about the things. And girl, let me be on the podcast and let's do this and let's do that. And I'm trying to not pay attention to the negativity of it, right? That I've been programmed to believe. It's almost like dealing with a trigger, right? Like, okay, this is what life was. Now you're not that anymore. You don't have to worry about how people feel. I honestly do not care how people feel. But, and also, I'm still saying inside my mind, oh, well, that's enough. Like, you don't need to say nothing else. But then I also know it's this thing called an algorithm that be out here. So I could post stuff all day long and people still don't see it. So it's like, what to do. So having said that, I was like, let me really sit down and think about YouTube and what that looks like to honor YouTube because YouTube is a search engine. Like at least for me. YouTube is also my television program. Okay? I don't have a bunch of streaming services. I do have some, but usually if I, especially in this phase of life, if I open up the TV, I'm turning on YouTube. I'm not turning on anything else, any other app. So um I know that there are people that consume YouTube. This the other thing. I had made an affirmation video like 2 years ago. It's called Brown Girl Affirmations. So let me actually, I'm gonna actually put the link into the comments because again, am I not being serious about YouTube? I have not really been checking the analytics. So I had put this video up there and it was just up there, but I wasn't really doing nothing with it, right? I wasn't talking about it intentionally. I wasn't telling nobody about it. It was just up there. So the video is an affirmation playlist for brown or black women. And the video has like 5,000 views or 7.2 thousand views, which is wild to me. And I know that's not like a whole bunch, but also that's a lot. Um, so when I had went and looked on the comments, people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good. Like I really appreciate this, like all of that." And it's literally just something that I had put together. And then not like that, not like I just threw it together, but it's something that I actually created and something that I had put together. So then this morning, one of my friends messaged me and she was like, "This morning I was thinking about some affirmations and I looked up brown girl affirmations or black girl affirmations for black women or something like that." She said, "And I came across your video and it was just perfect. You should do more of those." And I was like, that is so crazy because I've been thinking about this and like, wow, that's really wild. So I want to get serious about this creation journey because honestly it really is the only thing that makes me happy. Even in the work that I do in education, a lot of educating is creating courses and professional development and all of that, and it really is the thing that makes me happy. So that's I want to shift all of this energy that I was willing to put on somebody else and then somebody else's system again back to myself. um to be able to actually seriously come up with a strategy for what this looks like. So, having said all of that, one of the things that I'm going to be seeking are other people that are looking to grow and build their YouTube channels because maybe we can do it together, right? I really believe in creating universes. And by that, I mean, so for instance, I talk about Kevin on Stage all the time. So I'll just use him as an example. So Kev on Stage is like the anchor of it all. Then Kev and Melissa are married. So Kev and Melissa have all kind of content together. Then Melissa started a show with her sister, and then Mel started a show with her husband, Greg, and then Greg started a show with Kev's co-host, Angel's husband, Marcus. Then Angel, Marcus, Kev, and Melissa have a show together. It's the universe. And that's just that faction because then you have like Tony Baker and Kevin Tony have a show, but then Tony has his own things, right? So I really want to have this universe of creators. And I believe that there are other people like myself that are out there that are thinking to themselves, man, I really do want to do that. And I would love to have community to do that with. So if that sounds like that's something that floats your fancy and it's feeling good in your spirit, I would love for you to either let me know again in the comments, or you can actually email me at mindofmyblack-ass-business@gmail.com. So I'll put this on the screen as well. So minding my black ass business. Uh-oh, that's not how you spell that. Just kidding. Hold on. Black ass business. Okay. There we go. So minding my black ass business at gmail.com. If you are thinking to yourself, like, I wanna get serious about content creation and I wanna do these things and I want community and support, reach out because as creators, I really think we have to find each other because this type of work can be very tiring because it's work. It is work, and people don't view it as work. A lot of people think that people who are creating are just playing and like just playing around, but it really is a job. So, if you're somebody who is thinking to yourself, like, I really do want to kind of be in this arena, I want to see what that looks like. I want to grow my own YouTube page. Like, let's do this together, girl. Let me know in the comments or send me an email because that would be awesome. Along with that, Bianca, my best friend, and I, we help people launch podcasts. And my side is more so about what are you talking about? Like what's the message? What's the impact that you're making? And then Bianca is like the tech side of everything. So she talks about like the equipment and the platforms and like all of the things. But if that's something that you've been saying to yourself, I want to have a podcast. I want, like, again, you're wanting to create some type of something to impact the world, please do reach out to me because I am very close to creating those spaces for that. But need your input. So the last thing I want to say is I'm ready to retire or whatever. So I know I just finished talking about all of these things, right, that I'm about to do. And also, I'm ready to retire. I've had enough. Okay, I want to grow me some vegetables and I want to walk amongst the trees. I wish I could show y'all outside my window over here. There's a green mountain. All right. I want to be up there on the top of that mountain minding my black ass business. Like that is real life what I want to be doing. So having said that, I'm ready to retire. A part of that is making sure that the coalition of people are around that are supposed to continue the work. So last year, I certified 5 intuitive melanated life coaches. And I learned a lot through that process. One of the things that I learned is that brains be needing a break because this really is an intensive like course. But not so much intensive as far as it's a lot of work, but intensive as far as it's a lot of development and time that you have to spend with God. Like, so, and when God get to talking, baby, you got to hear what God is saying. Okay. So because of that, I have kind of broken up how I'm gonna do it. So the first it's a 16-week program altogether, but I'm separating it so that people have time to process and really think about and also back out because you might go through the first part of the process in order. So let me tell you what it is. So, Discover Your Destiny is the first part of the process, the 8-week process. And basically, Discover Your Destiny helps you understand your spiritual gifts. So, who you are, who God has designed you to be uniquely, and then who you don't want to be, right? So for every gift, there's a use of the gift and then there's a misuse of the gift. So we also learn about how we can cause harm by using these gifts. Like these are gifts, but also you using it for naught, right? So we talk about that. Then we talk about how you want to make an impact in the world. We do some goal setting for that. Then we go back to thinking about forgiveness and what are some of the things that we're still holding ourselves responsible for that maybe had nothing to do with us. We talk about boundaries and we talk about self-care. So that's just kind of a quick overview of Discover Your Destiny. So I'm going to be launching that next month. And I think that's probably the only time that I'm going to do it for the rest of the year because what always happens is that because I go through it every time that I do it with every time I host a class, I go through it as well. Because I'm talking to them, reading them, so I retake the assessments, like and all of that. New revelation happens, and every time new revelation happens, like you got to process that. Like that's a lot. So I feel like if we do July and we'll finish like in September, then that'll give the back half or the back fourth of the year some time to really process what this looks like and some time to get some understanding of what direction that God wants you to go in. Because then next year I'll do another certification class. because what I really want is I want people that are in all platforms of life, right? So I work in education, I work in content creation, I'm also an expat, right? I want people that have these intersectional identities to be able to be certified life coaches so that when they're going into their worlds and their universes, that they're also able to help people, because I, yes, can talk to somebody who is in a architect, for instance, right? But there might be some parallels that can be drawn in that work if an architect is talking to another architect who just so happens to knows the architecture lingo. You know, so that's what I want to do, because like I feel like my vision and mission is to help educators get out of the system and to be able to impact the system from the inside. I really do believe, I'm sorry, from the outside, because the inside of the system, there's so much bureaucratic red tape. There's so much politics, like all of that. And at this point in life, I am a really big fan of let's just take our children out them people's schools, because they're not teaching them truth anyway. And that's what I want y'all to know. This is what I want y'all to know. If y'all ever be sitting there thinking to yourselves, why the kids don't know? Did they teach them that? That's what you need to be asking. Did you look at the curriculum and see if they actually teaching that? Because they probably not. For instance, why these children ain't thinking? Because the schools ain't teaching the children to think. You know why? Let me go on this rant right quick since I'm here. The schools were not created to educate. And I need us to know that and understand that. School was created to indoctrinate and to teach people how to read the Bible and to create good workers. That is it. School was not created to teach your baby how to be a critical thinker, how to be a good person. That's not why the institution of school was created. So knowing that we cannot, and I trust me, this is new understanding after having been in so many rooms and like now being like, oh, wow. Because trust me, I had drank the Kool-Aid. Okay. I totally believed that, education, and I'm not saying that education is not essential, right? I still believe that education is the key to freedom. What I do not believe is that going through the educational system in the United States of America is the key, because the US be lying. And they might censor this because of that. But and also I say what I said and I meant what I said. They be lying. If you look at the history and look at the things that have happened. I was just watching a documentary the other day, and it was about the Lakota tribe in South America. So the Lakota people, indigenous people, and they were talking about how they had these treaties with the U.S. government in order to protect the Black Hills. Right now, the Black Hills in South Dakota is where Mount Rushmore is. The Black Hills are also considered the most sacred place of the Lakota people. All right. So the Lakota people were like, if you think about Mecca or like, places where people have made pilgrimage, Jerusalem, right? Like these are places that are held in high regard in certain spiritual practices, right? For indigenous people, for the Lakota tribe, the Black Hills had that type of regard for them. So then they were like, imagine what it felt like for the United States of America, who had lied to us and told us that this was going to continue to be the land that we cared for and owned and managed. And then they came and carved the face of 4 white races on our most sacred place. Let me tell you something. The level of understanding that I have received in the past 5 to 6 years about the way the US shows up, get out is what I want you to understand. Get out, take your churn out the things, right? So, anyway, a part of my activism in education is helping educators get out of the system. The system of education in the US is never going to respect teachers. They're never going to respect educators. It's literally your cog in a wheel. You're creating more workers for the future. And now I understand why I would receive so much pushback on some of the things that I was doing, because my former students could tell you that I would tell them, y'all, if y'all don't learn nothing this year, you're going to learn how to think. You are going to learn how to think and how to problem solve. Yes, you will. Because what I'm not going to be doing is answering all these questions that you could have just thought through. But I want you to know that's not a skill that schools are teaching. It's uncommon for teachers to require students to think. Okay. So when we be asking why the kids don't know that, we need to be asking why the schools ain't teaching that. Right. And it's because we don't really know what they're teaching, and we don't have control over what they're teaching at all. In the USB line. Okay. So having said that, I really feel like I need to help develop this coalition of people that are ready to unplug from systemic racism, honestly, and create some sustainability and self-sustainability. And I believe a part of that is being able to of course provide for yourself, but also be able to have genuine impact, you know. So said all that to say, if you are thinking to yourself, yeah, girl, I've been wanting to be a life coach, I've been waiting on your child, where you been at? Okay. That opportunity is coming back up, but the first part of that is making sure that you are in Discover Your Destiny. So I'm going to be putting out that information. The best thing for you to do is to get onto my email list, and my email list is at my website, which is kimberlynjackson.com. Also, I want to say the website is in full on shambles right now. Okay. Um, it is getting redone, and I just decided to leave the version of it up that is up, as opposed to taking it all down. But you'll start to see some changes there. But when you go over to my website, you'll be able to find the course outline for Discover Your Destiny. Well, first you'll be able to find the email list. I need you to get on the email list, because I'm finna send the email out in like tomorrow. So I need you to get on the email list. And then you can find like the course outline for Discover Your Destiny. You can look at the table of contents. You can see the welcome letter. And then you can also read my blog. My blog is there, that I started in 2017, where I started talking about my life and what my life is like, and pieces of my life, and unpacking family dynamics and some of the experiences that I've been through. So if that feels like something that you might find interest in, I hope that there are a lot of learnings over there. So that would be over on my website, again, at kimberlynjackson.com. You can also see my former life there. I used to be a model and an actor and all of that. So you can see those snippets too. And then if you go to Minding My Black Ass Business, over at Minding My Black Ass Business, you can get you some merch. If that is something that feels in alignment with your spirit, okay, you can go over there and check out the merch and all of that. If you are like, girl, I want to support everything you're doing, like, how can I do that? What does that look like? The first things that I need y'all to do, y'all, when we be saying like, comment, subscribe, that stuff really matters, right? So I want to say right now on my YouTube page, I think I'm at like 400. Let me actually look. Let me not even make up a number. I'm at 436 subscribers on YouTube. The first milestone that I want to reach is 500 subscribers. Okay. So that is how, I don't even remember what I just said, but now I have 436. I don't remember if that was more or less than what I just said. Maybe somebody was like, bitch, shut up, get out of here. But anyway, I have 436 subscribers. That is, let me see, 64 subscribers from 500. So that's the first milestone that I want to reach. I currently have 34 videos on my page. All of it is not school improvement stuff. Some of it is my podcast. I have blogs on there. And speaking of that, I'm actually about to start releasing some of those. So the vlogs have been there since last year. So what I'm doing is, oh, I forgot this part. On Spotify, I put up the podcast that I started recording in July of last year. So July of 2023, I started making these recordings. I didn't know why, and then it turned out to be a podcast. So I put the first few episodes of that up on Spotify, and I'll put those links and stuff in there. So I'm gonna kind of have a start here with my journey, like type of thing, depending on where you want to pick up. So if you are saying to yourself, like, what did her former life look like? Start here. If you're saying to yourself, why did she leave the US? Start here. If you're saying to yourself, how is she recovering from burnout? Start here. Like that's what I want. So that people kind of have this guidebook, if you will, or even just the opportunity to process what I have experienced. I know with full certainty the things that I've been through have not just been for me. I know that. And my God, if I could save y'all from going through a lot of the stuff that I've been through, I will give it. You hear me? So that is my sacrifice that I'm making. So having said that, please do go to my YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business. Please do subscribe. If you come across a video, just put it on in the background, y'all. Like all of those hours of watch hours, they count. So put it on in the background, let it play. But I promise, like there's stuff there that you will, if you listen, you will leave better than you came. But that's my ask, that you like the videos, you comment on the videos, that you share the videos if you found anything helpful, subscribe to the page. And if you actually care about what I'm talking about, go ahead and put the notification bell on. All right. Because that'll let you know when I go live. Then you won't even have to worry about it. Right. So that will also be really helpful. And then if you are thinking to yourself, like, you really want to be in the know, you want to be on the inside of things and really understanding what else is happening, then I would love for you to join my Patreon. My Patreon is where people get the first knowledge of things. So like I said, a lot of the vlog posts have been up for the past year for my Patreon. My Patreon has been following along this journey the entire time. And they've been in on me processing and like trying to like, it's been a lot. But people who are not on my Patreon, I still want y'all to know, but that's kind of being released in a different type of way. So if you're looking for a more intimate relationship, and also maybe saying to yourself, yes, girl, I can subscribe, I can do all that stuff, but also I want to support you more. This would be something that you can do to support me more, is joining my Patreon at Minding My Black Ass Business and being a part of the community, right? I do what I do because I care about people. I don't do what I do because I'm looking to be rich or I'm trying to get rich off of people or take advantage of people. That's not why I do what I do. So in that spirit, I want to make sure that the things that I am sharing and the things I am creating are helpful to people, because that is why I do what I do. So when you all talk to me and when we're in community together, then not only do you get to learn from me, I get to learn from you. We get to support each other, and that's really what I'm trying to do here. So if that is something that you're looking for, I would love for you to join my Patreon. Again, Minding My Black Ass Business is only $5 a month. If not, that is totally fine, baby. It's all kind of free spaces that you can be out here supporting. And again, just watching my videos, they have them on in the background. That's gonna help a sister out, okay? So having said that, if you are coming in late and you kind of missed everything that I was talking about, I asked a few questions because I'm trying to get some insight into the best ways to show up and help people. So I'm wondering about when you all are participating in the Q&A, would you prefer to have that in a Zoom session, or would you prefer to have it something like this as a webinar? Or when you listen to you, the other question was, when do you listen to your podcast? Like, what time of day do you listen to your podcast? And then the last thing was, if you are looking to be a life coach, start that process, what have you, that is going to be kicking off next month. If you are not already on my email list, please do go to KimberlyJackson.com, get on my email list so that I have your information and you'll get that email because that's probably going to be going out tomorrow. So please do that and stop by my spaces and my places, and holla at your girl and such. All right. I'm out here doing my best. I'm really trying to focus on being as transparent as I possibly can so that other people do not have to experience the types of things that I've had to experience. I believe in collective learning. So if we can learn together and we can tell somebody, hey, don't do that now. That's not going to turn out well. Or go down there, girl, they're giving away free money. Like, that's the job. That's what we're supposed to do, right? So each one teach one, reach up, reach back, like bring people along. That's what I am trying to do. So thank y'all for your time. Thank y'all for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll be looking for your responses in the comments very soon. Okay. All right. Bye.